Hello everybody, this is Vladimir Kramnik, and I think most of you who saw my previous video, I was commenting on Danny Resch statements which were made sometime in October, I think end of October or beginning of November. And probably you are still discussing it, but today I've just seen that there is a new interview of Eric Alibest, the CIO of Chesscom, as far as I understand, on many issues, exactly about cheating, anti-cheating measures, etc. So a lot of interesting things. This interview appeared on the Levitov Chess YouTube channel. By the way, I can recommend, it's a great channel. This interview is in English, but in many materials which are in Russian, there are subtitles and lots of interesting things. But today we are going to talk about, I would like to comment this interview. So what can I say in general? Already, and I find it encouraging that Chesscom starts to give at least something, at least some numbers, even though by far not enough. So they start to answer some unpleasant questions. I'm still extremely unsatisfied with those answers. I will try to explain you exactly why during this video, but at least something starts to move. Even though, yeah, a lot of strange answers, strange arguments. Still many questions left, and a lot of just simply wrong mathematics there. But anyway, let's start from the beginning. So first 10 minutes they are talking in general about the plans. You can of course watch this full video if you want, but I would probably start with around minute 10 when it starts to get to this anti-cheating measures. So let's start to listen to this interview together, and I will, as usual, I will stop and comment on some statements of Eric. So let's go.
So it's very logical for you to be interested in organizing all this, of course, with all your experience and with a beautiful set of commentators you have now in the Vikings. I gotta say that Daniel Naroditsky is my favorite commentator right now. I like him a lot. So good job, Eric. Let's go to some stuff that we're expected to talk about. Let's say
here it starts.
I've interviewed, as I mentioned, I've interviewed Fabiano Caruana, who is very concerned with the cheating issue. He told me that he thinks his estimation is that every title Tuesday he plays with 2 cheaters. Where do you stand on that? What are your thoughts on that? Is that exaggerating, or
I think that's more than truth. I think that's his truth of what he feels, and I respect Fabiano greatly. We've had many dinners together. We're cordial and we respect each other, I think, but sure. I think we view this very differently. I have access to vast amounts of data and statistics that frankly he doesn't. It's not fair to him. We have imperfect information. That said, he's also a grandmaster and he has information I don't have, which is how he feels, etc. So I respect that, but I would say that is an overstatement of what we would assess to be cheating.
So let's comment on this. So first of all, you see, like in Danny Resch interview, there is this kind of tendency of trying to present our top players' concerns as feelings, that we don't know statistics, we don't know much, but so we are emotional. You will see it throughout the whole interview. Also, the previous one with Danny Resch, so it's a clear PR strategy to pretend that, okay, these boys are good, we like them, but they just don't know anything. Basically, yeah. In fact, first of all, what I would like to say in advance, that actually everything what Eric says in this interview. In fact, and I will explain you exactly, very logically why it actually leads to more or less the number which Fabi and I fully agree with Fabi, minimum 2. I mean, maximum probably or sometimes 3, but no more. So this is a very stable number in my opinion. And it's not about emotions, it's not about feeling, it's based on, on analyzing these games, analyzing those players. Then once I see that some game is strange and I start to check games of player, and then I see that it's those strange games happening pretty often usually, and so it's not emotions and about certain data which they have and we don't have. First of all, we have a lot of data which is in open source, and secondly, at least most of things he's saying there leads directly to this number, more or less, like 2 out of 2 per tournament out of 11. But okay, so just this is more on a general note. Let's continue.
Now, I would say absolutely he probably has 2 or more results that don't feel statistically likely. That is for sure.
What do you mean? You mean he plays with somebody like much lower level than him, he loses a game that's statistically something odd, let's say, yeah?
Right. And so that to him, maybe that happens 2 or 3 times, and maybe in his mind, there's a 50% or greater chance that if he loses a game against someone lower rated, that they're cheating. And I would...
Wait, let's start. First of all, there are so many actually wrong mathematical numbers, so next time I would rather prefer to listen to a mathematician of chess.com. But anyway, so let's say if it's 2 or 3 times per tournament, as I understand, is losing against some much weaker player, which is very unlikely, because if you lose somebody who is a little bit lower than you, it's not so unlikely. That is already absolutely huge in percentage, yes? So I mean, it just doesn't make sense to tell that, okay, if you lose 2-3 times out of 11 against somebody whom, let's say, very low probability of losing, that it's normal. No, of course it's not normal.
Would reject that hypothesis based on the data that I see, but I don't blame him for feeling that or thinking that.
Again, you see, feeling that, thinking that, emotional, I mean, the same story, but what he tells here, it's total huge anomaly. I mean, at least according to exactly what he says, 2 or 3 games like this per tournament is it's completely out of any standard.
But this data, what kind of data are we talking about?
Good question.
We're currently working on a big report that we're going to be releasing publicly to the community. We've done reports before on chess. I'm not sure if you've read the Hans Niemann report.
Sure, I read it.
But
I would, by the way, I would record maybe once another video before they publish the report, and I would ask a few things just to calculate completely open source statistics, just to calculate the probabilities of it, because okay, you can calculate many things, but I guess this report, if it will ever come out, it will be calculating what they want to calculate, but there are some other statistics as well. But in any case, it would be nice to see this report.
That's the most interesting thing you've ever published.
Thank you. It was a lot of work and a lot of stress, and I didn't sleep very much during that time. We're working on something similar, a little bit similar, to help people understand the statistics behind play. So, for example, let me. I actually wanted to ask you this question. Well, first, let me start and ask: of all the games played by titled players on Chess.com, and of all the titled Tuesday games, if you were to look at the win-loss ratio by rating for regular, like 3-minute play, and for titled Tuesday, where money's on the line, or this one's just casual games between titled players, and you predicted a line that said if you are a 2600 rated blitz player and you're versus a 2800 rated blitz player, and you project, but you did that for all the different ratings and all the outcomes, would you expect that titled Tuesday would have more upsets and a different amount of lower rated players winning than casual play, or would you say it's the same and there's the same amount of kind of cheating, which means there's the same amount of outcomes?
Yeah, that's the question, because that's, I think, the mistake that Fabiano, Vladimir Kramnik, and Hikaru Nakamura make. They think that people would cheat much more when the money is on stake. I don't think so. Me personally, I don't think so. So my answer is no.
My comment. I mean, I think Ilya is mistaken here, because my answer would be definitely the same. No, not only because of feeling, my own experience, which shows that actually I'm getting cheated, in my opinion, at least as often in non-money games than in money games. This is first, and secondly, it's not only feeling but statistics shows this. I was checking, so I think it's a mistake. No, definitely my answer would be also it's more or less the same amount. I don't know about Fabiano and Hikaru. I've never saw them talking about it. I mean, at least I don't remember. But for me, I never told that there must be much more in money events, but logically also not really less. So my answer would be the same as Ilya answer. And actually, it in a way it also proves that this question, which is very often given as an argument, like okay, why would he cheat or she cheat? There is no money there, or there is too little money. This question is irrelevant. I explained it already, because actually it's very conceptual. You know, the idea is that if you give yourself a permission to cheat in general, then you will cheat sometimes with money, without money. I mean, if you overstep this ethical barrier, then you will go on. If not, you will not cheat under any circumstances. Yeah, so that's why I believe it's not so much about money, and that's why this question, why would he or she, this is irrelevant, really.
There won't be any like correlation you are talking about. So
Yeah,
I think
agree.
that there are a lot of reasons behind cheaters, and money is not the most important of them.
Exactly.
Well, your intuition is correct.
Of course, correct.
If you plot all of the games, and we've taken several years of games, and you plot the win-loss ratio per rating across players, it's the same for Title Tuesday as it is for 3-minute games, just regular games online. And we use 3-minute because not a lot of people play 3+1 outside of Title Tuesday.
For sure.
Yeah. So it's basically the same line, and we're going to show this. And we're currently now doing the same line for OTB. So that's the next thing. If you took the same line for OTB Blitz, maybe 3-2, would you expect the same line, or would you expect there to be more upsets for lower rated players in online chess?
Well, my answer first. First of all, it depends very much what means lower rated players. I mean, if the difference is around only 100 points between the players, I mean, that, okay, Elma's the same level, so it's not really a big difference. Yes, so if we are taking a significant difference, like 300 Chesscom and more, then I would definitely say that, of course, OTB will have much less of such surprises. But again, it depends very much on what sample of games is analyzed. So let's see.
If we take what, 3+2?
OTB. If you take OTB Blitz, which is 3+2, and you take online Blitz 3-1, 3-0. Would you expect to have more or fewer or the same amount of upsets of lower rated to higher rated players?
If we compare them, sorry, I don't understand. If we compare them, OTB and
online.
In online, I don't know. They don't play much OTB. How can you compare? They play like there are people that are I don't know, 3100, and they haven't played an OTB game in 5 years.
Yeah, that's actually true. In fact, there are not so many also games when in fact, there is such a big gap of ratings between two players over the board chess. So yeah, I don't know if it's possible really to compare, but in any case, I'm pretty sure offline OTB must be the percentage of such surprises much less. Why I'm sure? Because I was also checking a lot of statistics, and at least in World Championships, yeah, there are much less surprises.
But we're comparing OTB ratings, expected value. So FIDE Blitz ratings. I guess what I'm trying to say is, do you think that there's more cheating, which would lead to lower rated players winning higher rated players at a higher rate than for online versus OTB Blitz?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. So we're going to publish our report, and then you can see all the data there.
Okay, interesting. Would be interesting to see, but also it depends again because on the difference of ratings, very much. Yeah. So, but let's see.
So the next question I want to ask you is the reason that this is so hard is if you go and look at the individual, right? Let's say there's a lottery ticket that has a 1 in 1,000 chance of winning. If you go into the to the store and buy the lottery ticket, if you win one time or your friend wins one time, you would think crazy lucky or maybe they cheated, right? That's such a small odds.
Yeah.
But if 1,000 people went into that store that day and one of them won, isn't that almost 100% expected that one of them would win?
Sure.
Oh, that's great math. I mean, Fields medal is waiting for the one who managed to understand that in such case the probability will be close to 100%. But seriously, okay, and what if how it happens actually in Title Tuesday that not 1 out of 1,000 wins, but like 20 or 30? What about this probability? Sorry, but okay, it's I mean. It's a bit like example for kindergarten. I mean, I guess we are a bit more, people who are listening to this interview are a bit more educated and have a bit of basic knowledge of math to understand that.
So in a Title Tuesday, for example, you have hundreds of players.
True.
Between 400 and 800 players.
Sorry. Usually 500, maximum 600. So, okay.
And they're each playing maybe on average 9 games, 8 games, because there's people who drop out. So
Sure.
4,000, 5,000 games being played.
What?
Every Title Tuesday. Wouldn't you then expect
No.
several games?
Less because they play against each other, so...
Of course.
5,000 people.
It seems that Ilya is a bit better in math and Chesscom statistics than Eric. Yeah, of course, in general, it's like it depends on the 2.4, 2.6, a bit more games. So it depends.
But so then, okay, cut that in half, 2,500. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's say 2,000. Let's say there's 2,000 individual.
I'm sorry. Again, the same story. Why let's say 2000? What's the problem, Eric? You were preparing for this interview and you will tell it after that some statistics was prepared by your team. Why it's so difficult again and again? You're giving very general numbers. Dan is the same. What's so difficult to give an average number? Average number of participants, let's say during the year 2023, an average number of games played per tournament. I mean, there will be again and again in this interview those vague plus minus 20% numbers. Why not to give concrete number? We will calculate it out ourselves then. All percentages, probabilities. Or maybe that's why Chesscom is so rarely giving a very concrete, precise number that you cannot calculate it. I don't know. I mean, I would expect to provide. I mean, there is it a secret, this number? I mean, why not to provide it? It takes 20 minutes for your team to make it and present it.
Individual games. So wouldn't you expect in that number of games that a scenario that's a 1 in 100 chance is going to happen 20 times?
Oh. What scenario? What's this scenario which you are talking about? Yeah, I will just go
Okay,
ahead
so
a bit.
what you are saying that when Fabiano, for example, Fabiano Hikaru or somebody loses to some 2600 play, it's normal.
What I'm saying is, yes, it's normal because
It's normal,
maybe
of course. Nobody argues.
there's a
with that.
1% chance, but when there's
is.
99, they're not looking at the 99 other games where those people are getting destroyed, right?
Right, absolutely right. Only that, I'm sorry, Eric, but those games with 500 difference between players rating, out of 2000, how many are such games? I mean, it's just a totally wrong mathematics. I mean, I'm sorry, Chesscom, please, just give us normal numbers. You are preparing for this interview. Or let's say it's not the fault of Eric. He's not mathematician. Maybe he's not really in this matter. But just then get a mathematician who would be maybe sitting on your side and tell correct things, because this is not mathematics. I mean, this is a joke. It's not 2000 games. This difference where of rating of two players when the result is so like low probability, like 1-2%, the winner. Of win over underdog, yeah, those games are maybe 5% of all 2000 games, and that makes a very big difference. 20 cases like this out of 2000, or maybe out of 100, this is a huge difference. So I mean, okay, it's just not mathematics, it just doesn't make sense. I'm sorry, prepare better for next time for the interview. I mean, this is basic things. I mean,
so it's it kind of gets fixated in this when you need to look at the whole sample of 2,000 plus games going on,
10,000.
and when you multiply it, on a Tuesday, there's double that because there's two events, and then
and then multiply it full year, make it 100,000, and out of 100,000, this is definitely going to happen. Great.
And suddenly, there's very high likelihood that small chance events are going to happen every time.
Of course, nobody argues.
And 100 times in each tournament, of course. Yeah. No, I mean, I'm sorry, I'm just making fun, but this is ridiculous. I mean, I'm sorry, this is just not mathematics. It just makes no sense. I mean, this is just basically wrong numbers, wrong mathematics, wrong statistics. Okay, it's a mistake of Eric, but then because it's not the only time in this interview, not the first time Chesscom comes with Danny, who, as I explained in my previous video, is making very basic mistakes, mathematical mistakes. Now again, okay, let us talk to mathematician, let us be serious and have a conversation which, let's say, you can present to public, without basic huge mistakes.
Do that.
When you're the player, all you see is your 9 games, or your 11 games.
Yeah.
Sorry, I mean, that I'm the chess player, it doesn't actually mean that I'm a dummy, that I'm so primitive that I only see my 9-11 games and I judge out of it. I mean, we are supposed to be intellectual people, chess players, especially top players. We are not so stupid, so we understand what we are talking about.
And so when one of those odd things happens to you, wow, there was a 1 in 100 chance that could have happened, but it happened to me in 11 games. That's cheating. But
I think they're not talking. But
I'm sorry. Yeah. We are a bit higher intellectual level to have such level of argumentation and thinking. Just because it happened to me, it means it's cheating. No, sorry.
But I think they are not talking when Fabiano, for example, Fabiano says that, he doesn't say that that this is statistically impossible or it's statistically hard to believe. He just says, I am wiped out by a person. He goes and looks at for example, his classical games, his blitz games, and he says, what the fuck is going on? This guy wipes me out of the board like I'm some kiddo from chess school. And I'm Fabiano Caruana, the second best player in the world. That's odd.
Yeah, so before Eric answers, actually that's the main point. Of course, not that you lose a game. I mean, sometimes everybody blunders or plays very badly one particular game, and then but the problem is and it happens very often when such players beating you. Okay, half of such games you lose yourself and you fully understand it was bad play, but half of such games actually you played you know you played well, you played perfectly fine. Engine also says the same, that you played on your usual level, but all of a sudden some 2200 or 2300 player played a game which is clearly like top 20 level, which also might happen like once, in such case maybe once in 100 times, that a player against such a strong opposition like top grandmaster, a player of 2-3 or 2-2, he can play an amazing game. But it happens like so often that it just statistically cannot be. So it's also very much about the level which those people are showing sometimes.
So it's not that you can lose any game, you can lose any chess game to any player, basically. But they're talking about the style, how it happens.
Hey, I'm very familiar with this. I mean, I was deep in the.
I can imagine.
I'm very familiar with this, and what's interesting is you get a lot of differences. I just watched someone online, evaluate a game that let's say a former. I'll just be honest. Like Kramnik lost to a young player, right? And there were maybe accusations, etc. And when this particular person who's a master went through the game, they kind of explained their thoughts and views and thought, well, in this situation, like, it didn't feel like it to me, and that they viewed that. And so that's where just different people have different feelings and say, oh, well, this person blew me off the board. And then another person would look at that and say, well, this person did a bad sacrifice and there was a pretty straightforward defense. And then they were down a piece at the end. And then that was it. And so everyone can have a different view about the psychology.
I mean, Eric, I'm sorry, but there is another person who would actually tell that the game ended in a draw, in fact. It doesn't matter. I mean, a lot of people publish something on internet. I mean, which master, what did he tell, who is he? I mean, I don't know really, but of course people can have different opinion, but opinions are not the same. I mean, opinion of my son on chess and me, I mean, have a different value. Yes, so, I mean, this is not really an argument that somebody on YouTube said, I mean, commented it and said something. I mean, after all, I mean, I have a certain qualification. Yes, so, I mean, my opinion on, I don't know, quantum physics and let's say Nobel premium scientists are not the same, not even close. So, I mean, come on, this is not an argument, sorry.
Of what's happening there. And so I understand that people have different feelings about it. And
yeah, of course.
I don't know that having gone through this with Magnus Carlsen, I'm not sure that the losing player is the most objective player about whether that game looked or felt like cheating.
I don't know. True.
Maybe they are because they can feel things. Maybe they're not because it's emotional.
Yeah,
very interesting.
But where can we meet, Eric? There's a too big of a gap. I'm trying to be in the middle. I'm not accusing anybody. I'm trying to improve the situation. Honestly, my only goal is to improve the situation and to be logic, to be normal, to have a discussion. So where can we meet? Because there is a big gap now between you and, let's say, Kramnik and Korana. Talking to Korana for an hour and a half, I can say that he's just more, let's say, polite, but he thinks exactly the same things as Kramnik does. Yeah. So where can we meet? How can we get closer to each other?
Good
Look,
question.
I agree with you, and we're working with the team constantly to do this. So we're doing a couple of things. First of all,
I don't know. I mean, if Eric is answering the question, how do we meet? How do we get to a certain consensus? Maybe Chesscom is working on it, but not with me. I mean, last at least half a year, I haven't received a single answer, a single communication from Chesscom on any of my statistics or any of my requests, whatever. So, I don't know. At least in my case, there is absolutely zero proof of these words.
Working on this report to help everybody understand the outcomes and the statistics.
Pay attention. To help everybody understand how works the statistics. I mean, not to inform people as if we are like kids who have no idea. We just tell some nonsense and now Chesscom will show us how it works. I'm sorry, we understand, and that is why we're asking questions. And the report is not to explain us it's to prove us that your what you say, I mean, is correct. Is not. I mean, don't explain me. I have my education. I have my mathematicians with me. I know some things. Yeah, I'm not a schoolboy. Yeah, so don't explain me. Show me, and I will check every number which you have with mathematicians, like I do now. And unfortunately, so far, most of it do not fit. But I hope this time it will be different.
We're also working on we're trying to work toward being more transparent about our findings. So we're also looking
Haven't seen it at all so far, but hope it will change.
at what the best way to do that is.
Okay.
The next thing that we're doing is we're constantly working on more proctoring and technology. As I told you, we're working on technology to get all the players on 2 cameras. So that's an active thing for us. We're probably soon going to also be sending proctors to people's homes and say, just like if you're participating in a sport, a doctor shows up at your door and says, pee in this cup, and you don't expect it, and there you do it.
Very good.
So we're going to start sending, maybe we'll send someone to Fabiano's house. Maybe we'll send someone to, someone else's house. Maybe some will be random. Maybe some will be suspicious. We're just going to send people and say, if you want to play in our events, you have to submit to, proof that you're not cheating. So that's something we're also looking at. But I want to address the thing that you first started with, which is to say,
1 second before we come. I mean, that is a very good idea. First of all, this is what Maxim Vashelograf, he mentioned this, and I agree with him. It's a great idea, and that in such cases, maybe the players who are under quite serious suspicion, but not 100% proof, so to say, as if it's possible to have 100% proof. But anyways, that they prove it, like, with people in some safe, let's say, circumstances that they are followed, that they have to prove it in such situation before they can again play in money events, for instance. That I fully agree with him, and I'm for this idea. But then the question is, I mean, how exactly it will be done? First of all, a big question why it was not done before. But second question is how exactly? Because if you send someone just for 1-2 tournament to follow, okay, and the player plays those events a little maybe worse than usual, or seriously even worse, but you can always explain 1-2 events everybody can play worse than average, the average level, and then he leaves, and then the person continues to play much above his, let's say, rating and strengths, or OTB, etc. What do you do then? You are going to send every time a new person, or what? I mean, the idea is great, but it's actually the way you implement it is very, very important, and I would like to know how exactly it will be implemented. So let's see.
If a player plays a game and says, "Oh, that felt like cheating to me," they lost a game and they say, "That felt like cheating," that's a person who's having an emotional experience to losing a chess game, which is an emotional experience for people, especially the top players. We have a team of about, I would say, 7 to 10 people who are title players, many grandmasters, who have reviewed tens of thousands or more of games of cheating and not cheating, and they look at engine lines more than anyone else. And so you have one person, maybe Fabiano or Kramnik, who says, that game felt like cheating. That player, I think, is cheating. Our team will run a report. They'll look at it. They'll look at the games. They'll look at the moves. And there's now 10 objective people who did not play the game and who have more experience than anyone at looking at cheating versus not cheating. And then they look at the game and make an objective determination. So 10 objective people versus one non-objective person are not going to see the same thing the same all the time.
Yeah, of course. But it's completely wrong, everything. First, who are those 10 people? I would like to see names at chess level. Second, they checked in their life tens of, I don't know if not tens of thousands, thousands or tens of thousands of games. But each of top player have checked with engine and played a lot, huge amount of games. You think it's worthless? Then Third, you think we are just doing it on emotion or something? We are checking it with engine, the games. We are much higher level than those people in your team, I suppose, because I haven't heard the names. Who are them? You can reveal maybe it, or at least take a couple of really top players who understand this, on their fingertips, all the nuances. And then another very important argument. Yes, there are quite a number of games, and quite actually a few players whom actually there is a complete consensus in the top level world that that this game or this player are not playing fair. There is absolutely no subjectivity in it because it's not our business or whatever. But there is consensus among, let's say, very top players, 10 very top players. And this consensus goes against the consensus of your 10, international masters, or let's say average grandmasters, if they are there. Yeah. So what is more valuable? And those players are actually quite objective. We have nothing against this particular game or that particular player, at least not all of us. Yeah. Are your guys, your team objective or subjective? I don't know. Potentially, there is a certain conflict of interest. Yeah, let's say it can be against the business model of a company, theoretically. So, who is more objective? Hard to say. So, this is just, those words are, okay, it's a nice to explain to public, but it's very far from reality, in my opinion.
But there are a lot of players who think the same way Fabiano does.
Yeah, exactly.
The same numbers. So you think they all just very emotional because of losing, but they're used to losing, Eric. They've been losing.
Yeah, actually, because I didn't have time to go very deep, in this interview, just very briefly, and I was mainly concentrated on the answers of Eric Albes, but actually Ilya is exactly telling what I told. Of course, he's right. Yeah, why we are all subjective, emotional, feeling? No, we are very rational. We are used to lose. It's not a problem to lose, but we understand chess a bit, and we also have engines, and we have a lot of experience playing against very, very different level of players. We feel it like this, how do people play, how they can play, and how they just practically cannot play, on what level. Yeah, so yeah,
in all their lives that they've been losing for 30 years.
Yeah,
and they've been losing to different people, to even some pets in the park. I don't know. That's okay. That's okay for a chess player. It's okay to lose. Fabiano told me, and I believe him. I've heard this for many times, that losing online game, you have 10 minutes of rage. That's it.
Less.
Yeah. After 10 minutes, you go and play another game. No problem. Yeah. But there is something wrong here. Maxim Vasilograd thinks basically the same way. Hikaru is more modest. He thinks that I'm not modest. He thinks that it's a bit exaggerating, but that's what he says now. Before he was a little bit more strong. So he had more strong feelings about that. So it is so easy to cheat now, Eric. And people are very experienced. I think that you know it much better than we do, given the fact that you are into all these statistics. So they're very experienced. So they do a lot of things to cover themselves. So where is this point where we can start living more, more safely?
Of course. By the way, I would like to comment a bit on Ilya's words, which seem to me actually much more adequate in the sense of reality. Tells a lot of correct things. What I want to explain to general public, maybe who are watching this video, that it's the cheating, especially if it's done by a kind of cheating professional, so to say. So he's earning money with it, or she or he. So they understand that they should not be caught. So Of course, that's why all those Nakamura style, I'm sorry, kind of ideas that, you see, this guy made a mistake in this game, it means he was not cheating, or, okay, he lost then the game at the end, or let's say, he won 2 games, but then he lost 1 game, so he's not cheating. I mean, this is kindergarten. Of course, nobody is cheating in every game, not on every move, so they make mistakes, sometimes on purpose they make mistakes, just to trick the anti-cheating control. Yeah, when they feel sometimes they make mistake because they cannot make every move with the computer. Yeah, they cannot. It will be too simple to detect. So basically, that's why it's all much more complicated than this kind of one channel of one prominent Chesscom streamer tries to pretend. Yeah, I mean, he definitely knows himself that this is just for audience which just listens to him and do not know much about chess. But of course, cheating, especially when it's about money, it's much more refined and much more complicated to detect. But all those things, he made this, he lost 1 game, or no, this is a joke. Of course they would do it in order not to be caught.
Well, first of all, as I mentioned, we're going to be doing much more proctoring and testing of people. And so we'll show up and say, hey, we'll watch you play the event. Maybe we'll have them play 100 other games that aren't part of the event, and we'll watch and see how that goes. And then we can get a statistical baseline of them. We already do have a statistical baseline based on their online play and their OTB, but having an in-person one might be stronger.
Okay, just everybody who is watching it, please remember this moment. Okay, when it's going to be done, I don't see any problem to do it very quickly by the end of the month already, to start doing it, if not earlier. From other point of view, I don't see why it couldn't have been done much earlier, years before. But if now this is a promise, let's come back to it in 1 month and let's see if it's happening. Because so far, I've seen some kind of promises which were not fulfilled. So I really hope they will do it, and do it seriously in the right way. That not just to show it to the public, but 1st of February, please. By 1st of March, I want it to be already done, and quite some players check like that.
The other thing is, just having looked at all the statistics for so long, I think people think we aren't as good as we are at catching people. And I have some numbers we can share. I think we're better at catching. I think we're better at catching people than people think. They say, oh, well, if you're a smart cheater, you're not going to get caught. But
well, no, people don't think so bad about Chesscom. I mean, you're probably as bad as they think. No, we know that you can catch some cheaters, maybe some % of cheaters. Okay, I'm kidding, but I mean, I'm on the side of so-called people here. I believe that. I'm completely convinced, personally, my estimation, less than 50% of cheaters are caught, much less than 50%. And that is a very bad statistic. So this is my personal assessment based on my work. And but of course, nobody knows the exact number.
There are people who've been smart at cheating and we have caught them. There are people who, have said, wow, I'm so surprised you caught me. There are, and we catch more people. And the other thing is, as I mentioned to you last time we talked, is there are people who you think are cheating, or Fabiano thinks are cheating, that I also think are cheating and are still playing. And you're like, why is that?
Why is that?
Why is that?
That's because, as we talked about, we need to be statistically certain enough to go defend this, because we aren't going to go and say, because there are also people who have differences of opinion. There are players who we have differences of opinion inside of our company. Some people think they are. Some people looking at the games and the data say they're not sure. And so that's because we hold ourselves to a higher level of certainty than other people might. And I recognize that that's, again, not the same choice everybody would make.
So you want, in other words, you want your system to catch them, not your feelings to catch them.
No, but sorry, your system's supposed to be very refined. In general, if the system is valid, is serious, it should tell you who is like 99 dot something percent. And okay, the final decision shouldn't be made by a person. Okay, like an approval just in case, just a little. But if let's say we imagine situation that 5-10 people of you are disputing, 7 think he's a cheating, 3 think he doesn't cheat. I mean, what is this? It must be, if your anti-cheating system is good enough, it should be like having the final verdict, more or less. So I don't understand it. It just can, if this is the case, it just means that the system is not, is not working as it should. I hope it's not the case, but that's a logical conclusion I have from these words, yeah?
Right.
We want to have the right balance of the data and the analysis that leads us to a conclusion that we can all feel confident and sleep at night and say, when we email that person and say, you are no longer welcome to play here, that none of us feel like sick to our stomachs that we might be wrong and we're harming an innocent person.
Oh, I've heard it so many times already. Eric, and you sleep well at night. You don't feel like horribly wrong that if you made a mistake and you let a person, who is most probably a cheater, but not 100%, as you say, that he is going to rob tens, if not hundreds of players. That doesn't make you sleep bad. Yeah, I'm sorry, but this argument again and again I hear. But you are sure, almost everybody is sure. We just want a little bit more to check. Yeah, we want him to play maybe for half a year more, and on our expense of honest players who are going to be robbed by this guy. Maybe in half a year you will get enough material to ban him. But why it's happening on the expense of me or some other honest players? I'm sorry, we are not like these mouses, yeah, which are especially for this medical experiments. We are also users of your platform. Why you don't care about us? Why you care so much about one most probably cheater than 100 honest players? This just doesn't make logic. It's not logical. Another question is, then why in this case, why don't you just remove them from, if they are very highly suspected and even you are sure that they are cheated, together with me and other top players? Why wouldn't you just at least remove them from money events, at least for a while, and investigate, check him, examine, maybe ask him to play games, and then he can come back or she can come back and play money events? How come that such players whom there is a huge consensus among top guys and you also, and you let them play until maybe they will be caught, maybe not, but that there is a 98% chance that they will rob honest players? I'm sorry, I'm a bit tired of listening to this argument. Please care, Chesscom, care about us also a little bit. Honest players who just feel desperate, they cannot play anymore, they cannot earn money sometimes because of these guys whom you are worrying about so much that you cannot sleep at night.
Yeah, but is it possible that if you suspect somebody and you're not 99% sure, let's say, as you mentioned in our first interview, and now you just tell him that you cannot play anymore, but we need a test.
Exactly.
Like OTB test, we'll play 3 for 2 hours in our office somewhere, and then...
Of course, it's a common sense. I forgot already that he told the same, but it's a common sense. It's just like these arguments of Chesscom, they are looking nice, but they're like carton. You just push it and it collapses. Yeah, it's just not a valid argument in my opinion. So I'm interested myself what Eric is going to answer.
And you can continue playing.
I agree with you.
That could be a solution.
Nice.
This is like something that I personally have said to our team. We are now going to send more people to people's homes.
Now, yes, but why it was not done for years? And when now? When exactly, and what are you going to do? if you agree, everybody agrees. So why for years it's not happening? Why such players who are heavily under overperformance for very long period of time, why they're still playing and earning money? I mean, why?
To have them play in events while physically proctored with somebody in the room. We'll get the head of their local chess club, or we'll get, a head of a federation, or we'll get someone from our staff or somebody that we feel a high likelihood of trust, and we'll send them. And frankly, if you're one of those players who gets selected, you should be happy about that. Oh, great. Like, some people are maybe suspicious of me. Well, here's my chance to show them that there's no need to be suspicious. I'm this good at chess, which is awesome. So,
I mean, yeah, I agree with it. I mean, if somebody sent to me the guy, or let's say ask me to play from somewhere on the server, I will do. There is no problem. I mean, why it should be a problem? But still the question remains, why only now, after all this pressure, not only from me, but from other frustrated, paranoid top players, as Chesscom puts it, started to be serious on Chesscom, that they suddenly, all of a sudden, realize that this might be a way. I mean, but still, I'm still not sure. Let's see if it happens and how.
We don't want to send people only to people we're suspicious of. We want to send to places that maybe other people might be suspicious of, but we think are not cheating. Or maybe we are also pulling some random names. So this is something that we will start doing.
Eric, there is a very sensitive question with prize money that do you ban somebody that won some significant amount of money?
Oh, good question.
Of cash prizes on the tournaments on Chesscom?
Not significant at this time. There are people who've been banned for winning money, a few $1,000.
They don't give money back, no?
We don't ask for the money back.
I'm sorry, few $1,000 is not so much. It's not so little money to start with. But if it means they were probably cheating for a very long time. Let's count how many people they robbed in a way that because they beat them, they didn't let those players win some money. I mean, many. So it's not like innocent few $1,000. Few $1,000, I mean, especially if you're talking about Title Tuesday, most often it means like cheating for half a year at least, yeah. And why you're not asking to give back the money?
That's probably would open up more legal problems.
No.
Then you also have the thought, maybe if we did ban somebody and demand money back, well, now people who might say, oh, they banned them just to get the money back, which is kind of silly because, we have.
It is silly. I mean, nobody's going to think like this, and okay, this is just not an argument.
More money than that, we don't need that, but it might make people think, oh, their motive was to take the money back or something. But then if you do it and you distribute it to players, well, then it's like picking favorites. So
of course not, because you distribute it equally. I mean, I don't know, Chesscom, your PR team should work better and try to find a bit better arguments if there are no logical, but at least something better than that. I mean, I'm sorry.
I understand the logic of like potentially taking money back, but I mean, it's nearly impossible to recover it. And so now you're getting into legal battles, and it's just more complicated for us.
No, it's not true. It's simply not true. I mean, because, very simple system. Of course, if a player doesn't admit that he was cheating, then I agree. There are some juridical issues. There might be. But then he's going to be banned for life from Chesscom. So at least like this, he doesn't get a second chance. But if he already admits and gets a second chance, once he admitted he was cheating, he would, he cannot have any legal problems. Chesscom cannot have any legal problems if they ask the money back. Because he admitted he was cheating. Actually, he can have legal problems from all players whom he robbed. He can really get a legal trouble, and that's actually another thing I'm going to mention now. But my system is very clear, very logical, very simple. If a person admits and doesn't give money back, he doesn't get the second chance. It's very simple. You have the anonymity, so nobody knows that you cheated. but at least give money back, and which should be distributed equally to, let's say, his victims, whatever, who lost, especially in last round. I don't know, whatever is the way, but as a compensation, yeah. And that is only normal, absolutely normal, and actually the only way to go. I mean, to be, to act. Because and there cannot be any legal problem. If he admits doesn't want to give the money back, okay, goodbye. If he admits, gives the money back, he has a second chance. Simple. I mean, so there are no possible arguments. Somebody would think this, or the Chesscom wants this $200. I mean, come on.
To do it.
But it's also like to cheat now. You just cheat, you ruin somebody's nerve system, yeah, you make a theft, and then you just come and say, you for example, you are being caught by Chesscom, and then you come and say, oh, sorry, I'm very, very sorry, I will never do that again. Exactly. And you just get a second chance and you play again without returning anything.
Yeah, well, some of those people don't get money paid out to them in the first place. If we're somebody we're very suspicious of, or we think we're going to be closing for cheating, we won't pay them anyway. So we will.
Yeah, but only some. Most they get, because you don't catch them immediately. You catch after some time. You wait for some time, and the money usually are paid. But sorry, please answer the question which was asked. This is something else what you're answering. But are you going to answer this question?
We'll withhold that and not pay it out.
But is the path that I described now, is that the correct path? I mean, that's how it happens.
Yes.
Yeah.
You can come back. We will give second chances. There are dozens of people playing who we've given second chances to, and we have only closed, I think, 5 people who have cheated like a second time. People who are grateful to be able to come back.
5.
Oh, everybody would be very grateful to cheat, to steal money, to keep it in their pocket and come back. I'm sure they're very grateful to Chesscom.
Players, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So, but there are a lot of players that have been like secretly banned, yeah? That we don't know that they were banned.
That's right.
Are we talking about significant numbers?
Let me look at my numbers here. Hang on.
Yeah, at this very interesting moment, I'm going to stop this video, the first part of it, because there is still a lot of interesting numbers. We are more getting now to numbers, and I will record very soon the second part, and maybe even by tomorrow I will publish it. But for the moment, okay, I was not impressed, frankly, because of all those arguments, in my opinion, very weak. I've heard it already. The numbers are not fitting really the logics. That is my opinion. Of course, it's all up to you to decide on your own who is more convincing. But to me, so far it looks not convincing at all, and frankly not extremely professional. Also, I would rather like to see a professional mathematician from Chesscom and who would answer correctly very professional questions with the statistics, not like general plus minus 40%, but concrete numbers. And but for now, thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe to my channel, and very soon you will see the second part, the continuation of my comments on the second part of this interview. Thank you.